Thank you very much and good morning. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I bring you learning from the majestic landscapes of Hindu Kush Himalayas in South Asia. As we say, building wisdom over the course of your work is very important, and Confucius has really put it like this. You can learn wisdom by reflection. That is the noblest way. You can learn wisdom by imitation. That is the easiest way. But you can learn wisdom by working hard, experiencing it on the ground, and that is the most bitter part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, having worked in geopolitically very tense atmosphere, where the big countries like China, India, Nepal, Bhutan are working across 8 countries, we have learned a lot, and we have a lot to share from these so-called shared landscapes, and that is from borders to bridges. I may have to go a little bit forward. The whole story started in the holy landscape of Kailash, which is considered by 8 countries and several religions as the center of the universe, spiritual center of the universe. And one of the Hindu scriptures, ancient scriptures, Skanda Puran says, in the space of 100 ages of gods, I cannot describe you the glory of Himachal. There are no mountains on this planet which are like Himachal, because we found here the Mount Kailash and the lake Mansarovar. As the morning dew gets dried up by the sun in the early morning, so does the sins of mankind by the mere sight of these mountains. That was the inspiration, ladies and gentlemen. So we started in an area which is 4 bio-hotspots in the world, which is about 10 life-giving rivers which emerge from this landscape, which is also about 1.9 billion people. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 1/4 of the mankind, which is directly dependent in upstream and downstream from the ecosystem services coming from this landscape. But that's not all. These people, 1.9 billion and around 3 billion people, their food security is dependent on the ecosystem services in this landscape. And over the course of millennia, thousands of years, the people have developed an interface with this landscape. We call it also, it's a divine landscape. And probably this is first time when we are talking about divinity of the landscape. That's what we have learned from Kailash landscape, the divinity of the landscape. Now let me go to the straight away what we have really done and really learned over the last 6-7 years. The whole thing started with the entry point of biodiversity conservation. But gradually, when we moved to the ground, we realized that people who are living there are the essential ingredient, because they are in a very strong interface with the nature around them. That is where these people have developed a respect, honor, and also their livelihoods from this landscape. As a global asset, and that of water, energy, food, carbon, everything, you can think about ecosystem services, but also the people. Whether these are the natural healers from Limi Valley of Nepal, whether these are the Wakhi herders from the border of Afghanistan and Pakistan at the Bame Dunya. Bame Dunya is rooftop of the world, which is the toughest landscape you can think about, mostly above 4,000 meters. And the previous Silk Route used to pass through these landscapes. Or whether these are wild elephants somewhere in the Kanchenjunga landscape, all of it is part and parcel of our work, what we are doing there. And over the course of, as I said, our work of last 6 years, we realize that we have to work with the people, work with the stakeholders, work with the governments, because transboundary landscapes, unless you get the ownership from the governments, is very, very difficult to do. So that's what we did. Essentially, we worked in this huge area. You have different landscapes shown in the slide here, right from Hindu Kush, Karakoram, Pamir, up to the far eastern Himalaya, China, India, Myanmar, and somewhere in the middle also the orange steppes, which you are saying. You also see some other landscapes which are there. What did we do at the end of the day? We came together. ICIMOD, as International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, it really played the role of a facilitator, bringing countries together by iterative and consultative process, where we put a lot of stress on transboundaryness. That means we work on the border, not somewhere in the middle of the country on a landscape. We work on the border between 3 countries, 4 countries, and 5 countries wherever possible. And that wasn't easy because there are different stakeholders, different actors, different sectors. We brought them together in these 4 landscapes, which I just showed. And we went for growing together. We grew together because we developed the local institutional mechanism and the mechanism to bring these countries together, a kind of intergovernmental mechanism, where we also talked about transdisciplinarity and acted upon this. We brought people together from different sectors to really grow together, the mentorship, bringing them to Europe, bringing them to other best practices so that they believe in the idea of transboundary landscapes. The third one is, of course, learning together. That is the most essential. We delivered our outputs on biodiversity conservation, but also looking into the climate-smart livelihood promotion of the local people. We also looked into the transboundary institutional mechanisms, where we brought cultures together, we brought markets together, and we did also common branding across the border, such as between India and Nepal, called Truly Kailash Sacred Brand. And let me go further, and this is what I want to say. We want to stay together. The reason is that we have delivered good impacts at policy, science, and practice level, where we have created evidence on the ground, taken this evidence in a very communicative way, simple way to those politicians, to those decision makers, that they can understand the future of transboundary cooperation is inevitable. You have to go for it. Ladies and gentlemen, because we are in Germany, and German philosopher Goethe has said, "Die Tat ist alles, nichts der Ruhm," which means your deeds will count, your glories will not count. That is what we are going to do. We are going to move forward. We are going to stay together with our stakeholders, with our program supporters, and we're going to work further on this transboundary cooperation because we want to really save these majestic landscapes from further degradation, but also providing the basis of our 8 countries to fulfill their global commitments as well, whether that's Paris Agreement, whether that is SDGs, or whether that is the CBD. Ladies and gentlemen, the journey goes on. We are on it, and we hope that we can stay together, not only between ourselves, but also with you, supporting us in this majestic landscape. Thank you very much for your kind attention.